Okay, what if gravity isn't what we think it is at all? Today, we're going to dive into a pretty radical new theory of the universe, one that suggests the fundamental forces we experience are, well, they're just shadows of a deeper, more unified rhythm. This is a big one, so yeah, buckle up.
So it all starts with a question that sounds almost deceptively simple. Imagine you have an incredibly sensitive scale. You place a top on it. Then you spin it up. Now, according to this theory, that spinning top will actually weigh less than the stationary one. I mean, how is that even possible?
See, the answer isn't just some quirky little footnote in a physics textbook. It's a clue that could potentially unravel some of the biggest mysteries in the cosmos, suggesting that all the fundamental forces we see are really just expressions of a single, underlying process. So let's really dig into that question of weight, because the secret of that spinning top, it isn't just about motion. It's about a property that might just connect everything in the entire universe.
Right, so we all see the motion of the top. It's spinning. But the key here isn't just that it's moving, it's the synchronicity it creates. The idea is that as it spins, all its atoms start moving in this harmonious, coordinated pattern. They become what's called phase-locked, kind of like a team of perfectly synchronized swimmers.
And this whole concept of synchronicity, well, that brings us right to the heart of the theory, a principle called coherence, which, if this is right, might just be the hidden engine of the universe.
So what is coherence? You know, it's actually pretty simple. It's just a measure of a system's internal harmony. Think about a huge crowd clapping. If everyone's just clapping randomly, that's really low coherence. But if they all start clapping together in a perfect rhythm, that's high coherence. It's literally the difference between noise and music. And this leads to the first major bombshell of this whole idea. Gravity isn't just about mass. Instead, this theory claims that gravity is the geometric expression of incoherence. It's what we feel when a system's perfect harmony starts to break down and its parts fall out of sync.
Okay, so if gravity is a loss of coherence, what's the process that's driving this whole rhythm of synchrony and dissonance? Well, the theory proposes a universal cycle, a constant flickering between these two states, open and closed. You can think of this whole process like breathing. In the open state, a system breathes in, right? It's freely exchanging energy and information with everything around it. Then, in the closed state, it breathes out, folding back on itself to process and organize all that energy. Coherence, then, is the dynamic rhythm of this constant, universal breath.
And from this one single process, the entire universe could emerge. Gravity just becomes the geometric shape traced out by this rhythm. Time is simply the measure of its cycles, one after another. Light is its purest expression, a wave with perfect coherence. And life itself? Well, that's just a really complex system that's figured out how to maintain its own coherent rhythm against the backdrop of the cosmos.
But this is way more than just a beautiful philosophical idea. The theory is actually built on a really rigorous mathematical blueprint, one that's designed to unify all of these concepts.
This quote really gets to the heart of it. The theory proposes that there's a single fundamental field. They call it psi. And this field is like the source code for reality. Everything else we observe, mass, gravity, even life, it's all just a different projection of this one underlying thing.
Okay, don't worry, there's not going to be a test on this. You absolutely do not need to solve the math. The important thing here is to see the story that it's telling. This single equation, right here, describes the fundamental field, the engine of reality. Then, this part here shows how gravity emerges from changes in that field's coherence. And this final piece, it defines time itself as the changing phase or the rhythm of that field. You see, it's all connected.
A beautiful theory is one thing, but can you actually test it in the real world? I mean, for an idea to be scientific, there has to be a way to prove it wrong. So how could we even test for something like coherence?
Well, the theory actually predicts a pretty clean and elegant experiment. You take a high-quality crystal, and you vibrate it at a very precise frequency to boost its internal coherence. According to the theory, as the crystal's internal harmony increases, its interaction with gravity should slightly decrease. That would cause its measured weight to actually oscillate, perfectly in time with the vibration.
And here's the predicted size of that effect. It is an incredibly tiny number, a fractional change of about 40 parts per billion. But if a lab could detect a weight change of this magnitude, and it's locked perfectly to the frequency of that vibration, it would be stunning evidence for a whole new kind of physics.
And it doesn't stop there. The theory makes a whole bunch of other strange and testable predictions. A calm, layered fluid should weigh just a tiny bit less than the same fluid when you mix it all up. Those sharp temperature layers in the ocean, they could leave a tiny gravitational signature. Each one of these is a chance to prove the theory right or wrong.
Ultimately, this theory completely reframes our picture of gravity. It's no longer a fundamental force, but an emergent effect of dissonance, like cosmic static from things falling out of sync. And that leaves us with a final, truly mind-bending question. If we could create a system with perfect internal harmony, with absolute coherence, would it become weightless?